Hello, what's up good people? Today I'm gonna share with you 3 ways on how you can break what we call the family chain of poverty. It is real. Have you ever been in a situation whereby you ask yourself, you're working as hard as you can, you're trying as much as you can, you are even sacrificing a lot of basic things just to make yourself somewhere. When you look around and you see your brother, he's not somewhere. When you look at your sister, she's not somewhere. When you look at your parents, they really struggled when they're bringing you up, and you guys, you aren't still out of the dish, you're still in the pit down there, and you're asking yourself, perhaps you're the firstborn, and you keep on asking yourself, until when will I be able to support these families to a point whereby they can be able to stand by themselves, and one day your family somewhere people can relate it to wealth and something of sort. Today I'm going to teach you about those 3 things that actually very easy to apply, and they're relatable and they're applicable actually, so that you can get yourself out of the pitch that you know, and I know very well that you're already in. But before I do that, always, because I don't want you to miss the next of the future videos of good of mine, so take 1 second. Just below there on your right there is a button written subscribe. Guess what you do? You just hit that button, and then on your left there is another button, a like button. Hit those 2 magical buttons, and guess what happens when you hit those 2 magical buttons? You get notified when I upload any of my future good videos, so you never miss any piece of it. All right, and that's the most important thing about it. All right, and by the way, it is free, doesn't cost you anything. So without further ado, let's get into the business. Today we are talking about 3 ways on how you can actually get yourself out of the chain of the family poverty or something of sort. Number 1, there's some things that you're supposed to understand about this life. Perhaps you're out there, you are kind of the sort of a blessed one or something, so you find like you have a lot of things on top of your shoulders. You have to support the family that you left, and also support the family that you've created, if maybe you're married or something of sort. All right, so this is what you're supposed to do. When number 1, you're supposed to understand like this: you cannot be able to eradicate all the problems that your family is facing. That's a reality. At times you have to learn to say no. This is what happens the moment you try to show people and support them to any moment that they usually show up to you and tell you, hey, they want your support. Sometimes it's good to realize that you cannot be able to fully solve the problems. Sometimes some of the problems is good to say that, you know what, that one I can't. I know that one won't augur well with some people, and sometimes even your family members will feel like as if you're denying them what they think is their right, but it's actually your will. So it is good to be very careful. Sometimes it's good to learn that you cannot be able to magically solve all those problems. Remember, these are your parents. If you're supporting them or something, they have been there for quite a long time, since you were young until to where you are. They have tried to get themselves out of that problem. So don't think there is a magical way that you can be able to do and get them like that. So what you're supposed to understand, there are different sets of a problem. If there is a problem that you can be able to solve, and that does not deny you also progressing and moving to the next level, so always be there to support. But register this in your mind: you cannot be able to solve all the problems that you have back at home. Somebody wants school fees, somebody wants to get married, somebody wants, I don't know, to start a war, somebody wants to start a business, your mother wants a nice dress, your father wants a very nice coat, a shoe, or whatever. You cannot be able to solve all those problems. Appreciate that, and learn to appreciate and be gratitude on what you can be able to solve, and also bring them on board and tell them, hey, you know what, at times I cannot be able to do this. You know what, I think we can prioritize this and do the next one. I usually find sometimes people try to educate them and try, instead of them giving them money, you think of you supporting them maybe in starting of a business or something of sort. It's quite a nice idea, but remember this: you can get discouraged along the way, especially if you're living outside the country. And then you feel like, hey, you dream of an idea, and then you think that you can start a business for somebody who is back at home in the name of, you know, you don't want to give them fish, but you want to teach them how to fish. Sometimes you can get discouraged or something of so. Don't learn to put things in your heart, just put them in your brain and you forget about them. That's how life is. Number 2, and now we go to the second one. The first one, you've said like, understand that you cannot solve all the problems that are there. Number 2, understand this: that you helping your families, it is not your responsibilities, neither is it their right, but it's your will. Differentiate those 2 terms. You helping them, it is not their responsibility, it's not your responsibilities, neither is it their right, but it's all about your will. So what we do in our family members is that maybe somebody somewhere along the chain in development, somebody wasn't responsible enough for their lives, and now what they do, they hook up on your life, and now they tell you, you know what, you have to help me, and if you don't, then I'm gonna say something. And that thing is the name like in Africa we call it curse, and I believe this is internationally it's out there. So somebody was a bit irresponsible along the line, along the line in terms of development. And now this is what they do, because you're getting yourself somewhere, then they tell you, you have to help me. Then if you don't, then it means that I have to curse you. That's why you find they are likely to say those words. You know what happens? So try to understand and make them, all the way from the word go, try to make them understand. You helping them, you may not tell them, because actually if you tell them so, then it may sound as if it's rude. But let them understand, you helping them, it is not your responsibilities, neither is it their right, but it is your will to do exactly that. If you're blessed, honestly, I subscribe to the understanding that we should help our family members, we should support people so that they can grow to the next level. But this is what you're supposed to understand. If you realize that your help is stretching all the way to a point whereby you cannot be able even to support the family that you have here, because this is what happens. If you drain yourself, maybe in the time of uplifting those people, some of them are responsible, you can actually uplift them, some of them aren't responsible. All right, so if you realize that you're draining a lot to a point whereby you cannot even support the family that you're having, that chain is likely to continue. What happens is this: like, once you drain all yourself, you cannot be able to educate better, or rather give better education to your kid or children. All right, so now what happens is that your kid won't really have the best life. All right, you yourself, you're not having a best life because you're supporting somebody else. Then that means you still depend on your kids for them to support you, because you never had the best life, because you're supporting your brothers, so you never gave them a good life. So even your kids won't have a good life because they're supporting you. So it means that chain, they're likely a continuation of that specific chain. So you have to be very careful. There should have somebody along the line to sacrifice and say, you know what, enough with this thing. All right, we're gonna do something, and we're gonna make a change all the way from this point to the next point. Now ask yourself, perhaps you have a family there, you have your kids, or you dream of having kids one day. Then ask yourself this: you want to get your kids in such a problem and such a chain, and that's such a continuation of a thing. So it better you be a responsible person as early as this. Learn to say no. By the way, that's a magical term. It's a two-word term, but it really changes a lot of things. Learn to say no. That gets yourself out of many problems. All right, by the way, before you give the last one, did you subscribe, by the way? Did you hit that subscription button just down there on your right? It's written subscribe. Just hit it. All right, then on your left, there is another one, a like this. Just hit those two magical buttons, and I told you it's free and fast. And what's the importance? You get notified when I upload a new video. All right, so anyway, let's get to the third one. The third one is the most important one, actually. You know what? I always tell people like this: if you realize there is something flowing in your family, and you know your family very well, you know there is a weakness that flows in your family, there's something that you know your parents did that you don't like about it. Maybe it's about alcohol addiction. Maybe it's the alcohol that made you people to be where you are. If you realize that a certain weakness that is flowing in your family, it would be so stupid for you to do exactly what they did and then expect the same, or rather a different result. You're supposed to be the different one. Be the kind. Just identify. There's always, you know what? You know your family way better than I do. You can just look around and ask yourself, why is this happening? Why is this so? Why is not the other? Why is the other? Then you ask yourself, then what are the do's and don'ts that they did or didn't that you feel like you should do or not do, and then get yourself in a different light. If you realize there is something, there is a certain weakness, I always tell people, yeah, you know what? You're supposed to detach yourself with them. When I say detach yourself, I'm not saying that you cut ties. You detach yourself in terms of character. You detach yourself in terms of how you manage your finance. If you realize there is a weakness in terms of financial management, if you realize there is a weakness about, controlled alcohol taking or something, if you realize there is a weakness about you people like marry like 10 wives or something, if that's the problem, you try as much as you can just to be different from the family. You know what? The moment they realize you're becoming different, or you're not towing the line that they have been doing so, they will criticize you. They'll tell you, hey, you know what? You think you're the first one to try that? You know what? Your uncle, your elder brother to your father, tried that and failed. Have you ever been to a place where back in up country and you're trying to start a new project, and then they're looking at you, they're saying, what are you doing, my friend? We've been here for 40 years. We've been trying that, it hasn't worked. We're trying that and it hasn't worked. So be very careful and exactly those things and those criticism you're getting from those people. The reason that's why they're criticizing you is because they are at a level where we say it's a comfort zone. At that particular level, they feel like, okay, fine. There's no even need of exploring anything more or way beyond this. So they just want to hang around with the comfort that they're having. So the moment they realize somebody is doing different thing from them, number one, they either feel that they're challenged. Number two, they feel like based on the experience that they have, which can be a wrong experience, then they feel like you cannot be able to do it just because they did not do it, all right? Or they did not manage to do exactly that. So those are the things that you're supposed to be very, very careful. Those are the three things that I've said. Number one, I've said that learn to understand that you cannot solve all the problems that you have in your family. Number two, I said learn to understand that helping your family is not your responsibilities, neither is it their right, but it's wholly or solely your will, all right? And the third one, identify that weakness that flows along in your family chain. Try to break that and try to get yourself out of that long line so that at least you may appear different. And I said one, there is a challenge that you'll get once you try to get yourself out of that specific thing. You know what the challenge? You always, the moment you try to show difference from the normal or normality in a country or in a setup or family setup, they try to, attach you names and something of sort. Always be strict to what exactly you do. If you subscribe to a certain thing and believe that's the best for you, so you better do it. That is exactly how you go along. Some people, by the way, they even do this to an extreme. They realize that there is a problem with my family or my sister's family, my brother's family, so I cannot let my kids to meet with them. Yeah, I know. That may sound as if it's harsh, but there's the reality. So if it entails you doing exactly that, so you'd rather do it. You'd rather do it. That's a fact. That is the only way you can be able to break the family chain, or rather that those kind of poverty chain and something of sort, so that you grow yourself to the next level. Otherwise, if you don't apply any of those, then I can assure you, you will work hard and work hard, but still nothing will show up. That is exactly what you're supposed to understand. All right. So anyway, my name is Joseph. Talk about money, talk about investment, anything related to your cash. I'm literally this guy who shows up when you get your money, and I tell you what, don't devour everything. Only a stupid does. All right. So anyway, if you're out there, you get your cash, you don't even know what business you can start, don't worry about it. Guess what I have? I have booklets about business plans, business ideas. I have a booklet of 30 different business ideas. You can grab a copy, consume all the 30 business, and I believe by the time you are finishing all the 30 of them, you'll be able to get your thing that you can be able to do them. All right. I have a booklet about treasury bills, treasury bonds, shares, money market fund. If you do not know what they are, knowledge is power. Grab a copy. It's only $220. You get to understand what exactly happened. All right. So anyway, how do you do that? You grab my number from the description of this specific video. I'll pin it down there on the comment section, so you can grab it, text me on WhatsApp, you get your copy, and that's how we move to the next level. So for now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next time. See ya.